The Lazy Ant. Once upon a time lived a very lazy ant who coexisted with the rest of her species in the middle of the jungle. This ant was so lazy that she never wanted to work and usually looked at her co-workers taking and carrying food to their home while she kept laying on a rock with her 6 legs nicely stretched under the sunlight. This ant, called Pointilda, kept looking at the sky like any other day when suddenly a shadow appeared close to her. It was another fellow ant. Pointilda, as the queen of the ants, I have to tell you that I do not like your behavior. You have been too many days without working, and you lay down here, waiting for others to work and behave properly, when you have to do it too. Don't worry, said Pointilda. We have food for months, and a very good home. I'm sure I can take some days here, laying down this rock for 1 or 2 or 3 or even more days. The queen, who had an idea of what direction these answers were going to, decided to explain her points. If we have such a nice home and so much food, it's because we work hard. We do our best to follow the rules of our civilization each day. We ants decided to live in group because that way we can get more benefits. But in exchange, we have to do our own part of the job. You have to promise to behave in a good way and to bring food back you too. Pointilda got offended by these words and replied, Hey, I don't have to help anyone. I remind you that I want to be happy, and I can't be if I live like a slave of your civilization all the time. If the others want to work, then I'm fine with it. But I'm not going to bother doing these things myself. If Pointilda was bothered, now the queen was even more so. What? What's wrong with you? Aren't you aware that you will never survive by yourself without the civilization that we created? We all have to do our part of the work in order to live. We cannot accept those who cause problems and don't follow the rules. You have to work too. These rules are essential for the survival of our ant nest, which also means our survival as a species. That's it, Pointilda answered. She had a rebellious look on her face, and thought that, if she managed to win the conversation, the queen would let her be. The queen, with a sad look, surrendered, and got back to the ant nest. I did it, Pointilda thought. As long as I keep winning the conversation, I can flee from my responsibilities as long as I want to. Finally, night time arrived. The ants were bringing their last pieces of food of the day. Pointilda woke up and walked to the ant nest. She expected to enter inside while the other ants would close the door for her, as always. However, this time she saw the door closing before she had the time to enter. Hey, I'm not in yet. Are you idiots? Open the door, you fools! Suddenly, from the other side of the door, she heard a familiar voice. As the queen of the ants, I expect all the members of the ant nest to abide by the laws of our society. In your case, I see that you show no interest in contributing to the ant nest, and I've decided that I won't let you in this community ever again. Pointilda felt something that she had never felt before, fear. But even at this point, she wasn't ready to understand the danger, and replied back, Oh yeah, I remind you that I'm an ant, just like the others, and no queen or king is going to tell me what I can do or can't do. It's very cold here, I'm freezing, and I don't have any food, so let me in, or I'm gonna get really mad. She felt proud of her response, but at the other side of the door, she could only hear the laughs of the other ants. Do you know why the other ants are laughing at you, Pointilda? The queen said. It's because you're a rebel without a cause. You don't want to do your part of the job, so you depend on bullying and manipulating others so that they do it all for you. You demand too much for everyone, and nothing for you, but this is the last straw. We will never again let you live with us again. You're getting expelled from this community forever. So do your own life and never come back." Pointilda listened to the answer with a sad look, frustrated by the words of the queen and the laughs of the other ants. But even with all of this, she still thought she was unbeatable, and took the warnings as a simple game. You know what, Queen? Maybe you're right, and I'm not made for a life in this dirty and stinky ant nest. Do you know why? Because I'm a rebellious ant. I'm brave and very superior to a normal ant, and I know perfectly that I can survive alone. Pointilda started to walk to the opposite direction. She had a very defiant look, even if no one was looking at her. "Fine, I'm going to leave. Yep, I'm out of this horrible place, and if you want to keep being slaves of this lifestyle, that's your problem. Ciao, losers." Now the ants that were inside of the nest were laughing even harder to Pointilda's attitude. "She never admits what she's wrong," said one of them. Pointilda traveled far away into the woods of the night. Some hours later, she started to become weaker. She remembered the warm rooms of the ant nest, but she thought it was too late to go back. She continued walking until she finally stopped. A small ant like herself could never survive the cold of the wild night by herself, and without the help of others, she fell to the ground and fainted. When Pointilda woke up, the first thing she saw was a pile of food. She was inside of the ant nest again. "I'm sorry, Miss Queen," said Pointilda with shame. "I thought I was so strong that my life didn't depend on others, but the truth is I wasn't able to survive alone." "You see, Pointilda," the queen replied, "we ants can only survive in groups. You can't really do whatever you want. The rules help us unite. In the end, each ant is different being. But that doesn't change that by uniting and using common rules, we get further than most animal species. From now on, I want you to go work like the others. If not, you'll be exiled for good this time." From that day on, Pointilda started to take into account her surroundings, and it took some time until she finally became a responsible and productive ant. She wasn't the strongest, nor the weakest, and there would always be things she didn't like, but in the end she managed to find the balance between her rights and her rules, and she lived a peaceful life in the ant nest. The ant. Ants are invertebrate animals. They belong to the arthropod class, insect order. Their habitat extends to many ecosystems in this planet. They are one of the most successful species of animals. These animals live in big groups under a complex underground structure named ant nest, and always stick to the rules no matter what happens. Their strength comes with the numbers. Really? That's what I look like? Thanks for watching. See you next time.